and this is astonishing to me because 10 years ago I would have said no way, that over 1/3 of Alzheimer's is preventable. So based on how you live your life, the choices you make can actually determine whether you're going to get Alzheimer's later on. And why it's so important is that the pathology in the brain that causes Alzheimer's builds up 10 years before symptoms. So you have this window of opportunity where your lifestyle choices make a difference. You know, biggest risk factors: obesity, smoking, no surprise there, even hearing loss, high blood pressure, and especially sedentary lifestyle.
So we have hope. We have hope. Dr. Zucker, you spent your career, you led the charge, teaching us about how lifestyle can make a difference in the development of Alzheimer's and dementia in general. What are the big ideas, the big breakthroughs?
That is exactly the right question to answer. And I'm going to boil it down to a single factor, and that is exercise. Exercise is the most transformative lifestyle change that you can make today because it's the only one that actually produces new brain cells in your brain. So I really like to think about exercise like the grand slam of lifestyle changes because you can do it today. It's free.
So while we're protecting our brain on one side, there are new insights that I want to cover for you all. Some of these are shocking. For example, one big breakthrough is that the role of personal hygiene may be pretty important in Alzheimer's. Why? Because new headlines are reporting that bacteria and viruses may actually cause some Alzheimer's. I mean, this is shocking to me. Dr. Tanzi, what kinds of bacteria and viruses are we talking about? What kinds of activities could we engage in that could reduce the chance of getting Alzheimer's just by staying cleaner?
Yeah, this is relatively new research from our lab and other labs. So we don't know exactly which ones matter most, but the ones that have been found in the brain so far are the periodontal bacteria. So you have to floss your teeth, keep your teeth clean.
We have bacteria from our mouth getting into our brain?
Yeah, sinus cavities connect. Even washing your hands and not putting dirty hands in your nose. Your nose is a gateway to the brain as well.
Our moms were right.
They were,
I thought that was a wives' tale. Yes.
Yeah. Also, we're looking at Lyme disease. So I don't want to say Lyme disease causes Alzheimer's, but some of the bacteria involved in Lyme disease that come from the ticks, the deer ticks, are also found in the brain. We're asking what is their role. And when it comes to viruses, herpes viruses matter. And so herpes viruses can cause cold sores. So we would say if you get a cold sore more than, let's say, twice a year, given that herpes might be present in your brain at that point, you may want to consider asking your doctor about an antiviral medication to go on.
This is really unsettling. These are fairly straightforward infections that many of us experience. Tactics. Most of us touch our nose. If we're doing the course of this show, you will touch your nose a dozen times, probably.
Yeah. My mother told me not to do that, too.
She was right. So we have a brain mile. Show everybody exactly what goes down with infections. How is it possible? Because I know if you get a bad flu, if you get an infection of your bladder, you can get a little bit of changes in how you think.
When it comes to Alzheimer's, we think about the pathology called plaques. So there are these plaques that accumulate in the brain. I can show you. So the main area we want to think about is the middle of the brain here, where the short-term memory is. This is right here. And what happens is you get information coming in, and you have to remember what someone said a minute ago, or take your senses coming in. All that information is first stored there. Now, what will happen is on Alzheimer's, you get these little things called plaques. It's like little gunky debris. Actually, it might look a little like that, even though it's Play-Doh. And they start to accumulate around the short-term memory area, and then they start to spread throughout the brain, and then they start to gunk up more and more, right? So eventually, the brain can be covered with this plaque, especially where learning and memory takes place.
My goodness.
So what we've learned is now, we've always thought this stuff is just junk. It's just a byproduct. What we've learned is that actually it plays a role in the brain, is protecting the brain against infection.
You're kidding. So the plaque that we think is causing Alzheimer's was originally put there to protect the brain against infections.
So it's good early on. So when you get a virus activated in the brain or bacteria gets in, instantly this stuff accumulates around the little pathogen and traps it. So the plaque is like a jail that traps the infection so it can't affect the nerve cells. So originally it's protecting the brain, but then it causes all the rest of the pathology, the inflammation, the tangles, the nerve cell death, and then now you're on the path to Alzheimer's.
How long does it take for that to occur?
Well, this is the most amazing thing, right? Is that we used to think that it took years for plaques to form, but it turns out that in studies we've done, one single bacteria, right, or virus can trigger a plaque overnight.
Overnight?
Overnight. So you might have a low-grade infection, and overnight you get a whole set of plaques in that part of the brain, and that's going to start triggering Alzheimer's pathology in that area. So this is a whole shift in our thinking.
I mean, it's unbelievable. Yeah. So I could actually be a little less thoughtful, a little less insightful tomorrow than today because I got an infection in my brain that caused plaque.
Right, and because the plaque leads to the cell death, that causes inflammation, and eventually you go down the slippery slope.
Ooh. All right, so it's scary, but this is something you can do. These are all good news items, by the way, because you can prevent these. If I said it's on your genes, you can't change it, go home and have a cigarette, it'd be different.
That's right.
Speaking of prevention, soda brain, which is an idea that has gotten a lot of talk over the last month or two. Alzheimer's researchers discovered something that Max is going to talk about. What is this soda brain?
Yeah, so researchers out of Boston University found that people that tended to drink more soda also were more likely to have shrinkage of their brain. Total brain volume was less, meaning the brain actually got smaller, but then they also lost volume in that precious memory center in the brain, which is called the hippocampus. And on top of that, their memories didn't function as well. So they found that actually people that drank 1 to 2 sodas per day had brains that appeared to display accelerated aging by 1.6 years. And people that drank more than 2 sodas a day had brains that had accelerated aging that looked like it had sped up the clock by 2 years. So this is really unsettling news. And the way it works is that higher levels of blood sugar actually damage, it creates inflammation, and it damages all of these precious blood vessels that you could see on the brain model right there in front of you.
So I get the blood sugar connection, but there's part of these studies that I'm still not sure about. Because doctors generally will tell you all, listen, don't drink the soda, at least try diet soda instead.
Yeah.
But in these research programs, that wasn't such good news.
There was bad news also for diet soda consumers. It turns out that people who drank diet soda habitually, meaning that regular diet soda addiction, also seem to increase the consumer's risk of stroke and dementia by 3-fold. So what it all comes down to, Dr. Oz, is that by consuming sweet beverages, whether or not they have sugar or artificial sweeteners, it seems to really step on the gas in terms of aging, and nobody likes to age.
I'm taking notes on this, right? So another reason, if you didn't have a bunch already, about sweet sodas, we have insights about activity and shocking insights about hygiene, like flossing your teeth and not ignoring basic infections that keep recurring. So I'm going to go back with Dr. Isaacson now. He's backstage giving some members of the audience a simple 5-minute test. This is an at-home test that can detect a declining memory before the real Alzheimer's symptoms even show up. So Dr. Isaacson, you've been on the forefront of this. Please work us through it.
This is a super exciting test. It's really a breakthrough test that anyone can do at home right now by using their computer or tablet. That little camera, the little webcam right at the top of the screen, that's simple. It can track eye movements. We know about the senses. Dr. Oz, on this show, we've done a smell test. Well, now we're going to do an eye test, and an eye tracking test can detect changes in the brain years before the first symptom of memory loss. And this is going to be a way that anyone at home right now can check how their memory is working. They're going to follow different images. You're going to look at the excitement or the lack of excitement of different pictures. And based on that, this test can actually determine whether or not you may develop memory loss in the future. Anyone right now can take this test. Just go to alzu.org, and it's right there on the activities page after you join.
The big breakthrough idea that Dr. Isaacson says what could be up to is that our senses provide incredible clues to how our brains are functioning. We sort of know that, but it can give us clues about whether you're developing Alzheimer's. So when we come back, we've got the new memory quiz you can all take right this minute. The first thing you have to do, though, is to look at this picture. Look at it for 1 second. Stop what you're doing. Put it down. Look at this picture. Memorize it. Right? The whole picture. Name everything. When we come back, I'm going to tell you why it's important.